Hey folks, how are we? Well, I finished, that's right, I finished the mulching, 38 cubic meters of it or something like that it was. I spread it out on all the trees. This is our orchard if you haven't seen it before. We've got, this is our second spring and there's one of every kind, meaning that these are heritage varieties, some common ones but mostly uncommon ones that we're growing here. Now, as I was spreading out the mulch today, taking my time to have a look around, some of these trees need to be pruned, which I didn't prune enough of. Some of them have actually put on a fair bit of growth after the prune too. But the main thing I want to talk about is dead, disease and damaged wood on your trees. In particular young trees, if you just planted and they're starting to push up bud, like you see here with this pear tree, it's actually starting to push the buds up. Now this hasn't got any damaged wood on it or diseased wood, but what it has is a sucker coming up. Yeah, a little sucker coming out of the rootstock. So they're all grafted varieties, and the rootstock sometimes wants to take over the graft on top. So the host wants to get in charge and grow its own variety as you would normally see it growing out in the wild. But in this case here, what we've got at the bottom here, have a look at that. It's grafted onto a different rootstock and it's not obviously the pear variety that we've got on top here, and you need to remove that. What you find happens is that the energy gets drawn away from the graft variety that you've got on top, the specifics, and pushes its energy back into its own rootstock. And that sucker, the sucker itself that comes up, and you can see it's already leafing up. So what you need to do is go around to your trees, young or old, and sometimes you'll find it on old trees as well, this happening quite common. And it is quite common with rootstocks. You know, it's a trial and error. We graft them onto these specific rootstocks to suit our Australian variety of soils that we have. Completely different soil conditions and environment conditions we have here, because these are all exotic trees, European trees, Asian trees, and they have different soil conditions where they grow. Have a look at this. So the rootstock has pushed up its own branching to survive. It wants to take over the growth here, and we've got a lot of it happening. So we need to expose it all down at the bottom and find where it starts from. Now this is really deep. This is right down to the roots. So I'm just going to cut these off as close as I can to the bottom. But ideally, folks, you need to get down right to the roots itself, the root of the sucker, where it comes up from. Find that particular root and you got to gnarl it out. I'm not going to do it now because I didn't actually bring the right tools for it. You need a Stanley knife, a short sharp blade. You can use a secateur or an anvil cutter like this here to cut it off flat to the root, but you need to take out that eye, that bud itself where it originates from, so it doesn't grow again. So, and this one here, if you come around this side, you'll see that it's growing off the side of the trunk, just there. So I'm just going to cut it off there for now. It's going to constantly sucker up. That's the problem with some of these grafts that we have. They suit our soils, but sometimes they just want to take over the plant on top. They don't want to be a part of it, or they don't want to, you have a rejection stage going. No doubt you'll find it suckering up somewhere else again later on. Now I've got to wash my secateurs, anvil cutters later on because I'm dirtying them. And I haven't got it right down. This is a challenge. Here we are, found it. There we are. Right down there we are, and there's at least a dozen of these suckers coming up. Cut them all out. Do this with your tree. I'm going to go around and clean this up after this segment, folks. I'm not going to let these stay like this because it will take the energy away from the tree on top that you want to grow and take you all that much longer for it to establish. Long term, even if you just cut it back down flush to the surface of the roots, it's okay as long as you don't allow it to overgrow. You don't want it to grow much bigger than that. I mean, even that's too big. You just got to stop it from growing too big so that the energy is pushed back into the main tree, so into the graft variety that you've got on top. Now put our tree guard back. Now that's removing suckers, and it doesn't happen just on pear trees. It happens on all varieties, including citrus, including ornamental trees. It will happen on your weeping cherries and maples as well. So have a look around. If you see a weeping cherry or maple and there's a branch growing up to the sky, well, that's not a weeper, is it? That's the rootstock taking off and taking over. And you need to control that by cutting it off. Now, that's that one here. And if you're going to use any sort of secateur or anvil cutter, folks, the lowies are the best. I found these to be so efficient, so easy to handle, and smooth in their cuts. Anyway, let's go down over here and have a look at this mulberry. This is a Chatuk mulberry. When I first got it in, I actually bought it as a second, bare rooted stock. It wasn't A grade quality. This is what I mean by A grade quality, instance B grade and C grade. I don't think this is even any grade. Half the trunk was missing. Have a look at that. See that down there? Yeah, we've got a few weeds growing in under the mulch. That's okay, I'm suppressing that. Don't worry about those. It's the trunk that was damaged, and the tree was at least 5 foot tall. So whoever dug it up as a bare root tree didn't take their time or care and damaged the rootstock, and the tree went backwards. So I lost 2/3 of the tree, about 3/4 of the tree. And this is the part that I cut it back down to. And these are the new suckers that have come up. Now, it was dormant through winter and I couldn't tell whether there was any dead wood on this or not. And now in the last week, coming out here and mulching up today especially, I could see that this has gone black literally in the last couple of days. And I need to cut it out. So this is what I mean about dead, disease and damaged wood. Don't leave it on for too long, because you can see it dying back here. See the shrinkage in the outer, on the outer parts of the plant or the trunk or branch. I've got to cut that off. You can see right down there where it's still green and viable. I'm using this secateurs here and it's struggling. Wow. Lowy, this is the baby anvil. Oh, that's cutting through, but it's a small one. I keep getting the small secateurs or anvil cutters, folks. I've got a bigger one. They do come in 2 sizes, gorilla hands and petite. Yeah, you've got to get that out. And the same with all this here. I'm going to cut this out. I should have brought the big ones to show you how good they are. But again, small one. Oh, look at that, and I've missed it. Still dead wood there. That's concerning, because I can actually see it dying back all the way down the side here. There's not much I can do about that. This was on its way out from the day I got it. I'm going to persist with it because half of it's still good, half of it's still viable. That's probably dead because all the cambium layer has been removed here, and it hasn't been able to service this part of the trunk. And that's where the sap flows. So hopefully this doesn't continue all the way around there. There's not much I can do with that. I can probably paint it over, but it's already damaged and dried up. Dead, disease, damaged wood, get rid of it before it dies back any further on you. And if you've got suckers growing up from the base of the trunks, make sure you remove them, because they are the suckers growing from the rootstock, not the main tree. And folks, don't forget, today at 2 p.m. on 7/2, it's our first episode of the new series. Me and Mum are in the garden and some cooking for you to enjoy. And if you're looking for some great specials, our buy one, get one free double deals weekend is on till midnight tonight. Check it out on our website, Vasili'sGarden.com. From me, Vasili, Maresi. These are great tools.